Welcome to the Miller Lite Q&A podcast. I'm Dale Lolley here on DK Pittsburgh Sports with Dejan Kovacevic, and we're going to answer some questions here that the readers have put on the site. And Dejan, we got some good ones this week.
Yeah, we do, and they're timely as well because the NHL trade deadline, of course, is today, and the Penguins are fresh off of giving up a zillion goals. I think the Florida Panthers are still putting pucks in the net as we speak down in Sunrise. The first question comes from Tim Tomasi. He is one of our lifetime lunatics.
And we thank him for that.
Yeah, we do. He asks, first of all, he starts off with the love the show. It's obligatory in Pittsburgh, right? Thanks to Stan and Guy. He says, I have a question about the downside of the Friday Penguins trade. I feel the loss of Ryan Reeves is huge. Everyone in the league knows the Penguins are highly skilled, and they're now very soft. Officiating in the regular season is drastically different in the playoffs, and so are the handful of suspensions. He's worried, basically, Dale, about teams taking liberties with Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, whoever. Are you?
Am I? No, it doesn't affect me one way or the other.
You know what I mean. I knew
they could
you
all
were going to
have
do
at
that.
it. Have at it. Take a run at him. Certainly, that's something. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they brought in Ryan Reeves.
Yep.
To handle some of that stuff. Has it been a huge problem this year? I don't know.
It really. That I don't know is actually a perfect answer to that, because the enforcer is theoretically a deterrent on some levels. Jim Rutherford, in making the trade, described Ryan Reeves as having done his job in keeping things calm. That was his term. So the Penguins are clearly of the belief, their coaching staff, their bench, their star players are of the belief that, look, just because you saw the occasional Columbus chop or Philadelphia going after somebody, it's not indicative of the overall peace or calm that he brings. That said, Dale, they did bring in Jamie Alexiak, who, while he's not exactly a thug, a guy can really play. He is 6'7", 255, and as he showed again in Florida, he can most certainly take care of himself in a fight.
Yeah, I mean, just being that big, especially the way hockey fights go down, you're going to have a reach advantage on a lot of guys.
Oh yeah, and he did.
Yeah.
He did in this fight with Bukestad. But the idea that the Penguins need to protect their guys, especially in the playoffs, where there aren't fights,
right,
where there aren't the same level of. I don't want to say cheap shots, because I'm just flashing to Matt Niskanen, making Sidney Crosby eat his shaft of his stick. But it's not as essential, I think. And I wonder, too, if Mike Sullivan wasn't going to go into the playoffs and say, you know what, I have Ryan Reeves in my back pocket here, but I'm going to put a fourth line out that's of all skaters. Yeah,
and that's something that you just don't know. Because, again, having Reeves there was kind of like having the nuclear deterrent.
Yeah.
You have your arsenal there, so does that mean everybody else behaves?
Yeah.
That's what we don't know. And so.
And it also depends on your opponent.
Right.
I mean, does it look like the Penguins are going to line up with Columbus again? No. It doesn't look like the Blue Jackets are going to make the playoffs. So who are you really thinking of in the playoffs that would be in, the kind of team that you would need that deterrent against? Like Tampa? No. I mean, these are mostly highly skilled, fast teams. My goodness, even the Flyers. The Flyers just went 3 games in a row without so much as a penalty minute, which was the longest stretch for anybody in the league in years. The Flyers. If the Flyers aren't thugging it up, who is?
Yeah, that's a very very good point on your part. Certainly, when you think Flyers, that's what you think. But that's a great question, Tim. I hope we answered it for you. We'll be back with the Miller Lites podcast in just a moment.
It's time to cash in on nonstop sports action with MyBookie.ag. They have in-game live betting on nearly every sporting event, plus MyBookie.ag will match your deposit with a bonus up to 100%. With decades of expertise and no-hassle payouts, you'll experience the greatest customer service in the business, guaranteed. Use promo code DKRadio to activate your bonus of up to 100%. Call 844-900-BETS or visit MyBookie.ag to open an account. Sign up today.
Miller Lite is the original light beer, and we'll always brew it to have more taste, with only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs. Because we believe that if you compromise on taste, you can taste the compromise. Miller Lite. Hold true.
Great beer, great responsibility. 2018 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Average analysis, 12 fluid ounces. Less than 1 gram protein, 0 grams fat.
What I want from my public accounting firm is big ideas.
But I don't want to lose the personal attention.
My company needs global capabilities.
From a firm with local ownership.
And I want to work with industry experts.
Who take the time to understand my unique challenges. And that's what sets Schneider Downs apart. Expertise for the most complex business issues. With the service you need every day. To learn how our big thinking with a personal focus can help your company, visit schneiderdowns.com.
If you're one of the thousands of Western Pennsylvanians who love to get outdoors, then you need to check out this amazing new website, stepoutside.org. Hi, I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Sports Radio. I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh. I know about the outdoor life that's available to all of us in Western Pennsylvania. Learn where, when, and how you can go camping, hiking, hunting, take part in power sports, shooting sports, water sports in your local community, across our region, across the country at stepoutside.org.
And we're back on the Miller Lite Q&A podcast. I'm Dale Lolley here with Dejan Kovacevic, and we're answering your questions here on this Monday morning. And we have a next question from the Church of Greg.
Church of Greg. You know, I've been to the Church of Greg. It's empty on Sundays in Pittsburgh because they're all getting ready for the football game.
Ah, there you go. Well, the Church of Greg wants to know, bringing Brassard in is an exciting addition. However, losing Cole was a big loss, even though he will be a free agent. The Penguins sure seem to show that against the Panthers, as it seems Hunwick was a large part of the defensive lapses. Who are some of the defensive options that are out there for Jim Rutherford to acquire at the trade deadline?
Bear in mind that, first of all, I agree with you completely, Greg, on Hunwick, and I made that stance and that point before he decided to roam Alligator Alley every other shift the other night against the Panthers. My goodness. I mean, he's out of position a lot, Matt Hunwick is, but in that game he was just leaving guys wide open. I could also, by the way, criticize the coaching staff for having had him out there way too often against the Alexander Barkov-Dadonov line that just ate the Penguins alive through that game. That said, who do you get? There's still not a lot of cap room, Dale. That's the big thing.
That's
here.
the problem. So if you bring in somebody who is, let's say, can be a number 2 or number 3 guy behind.
Someone's got to go.
Somebody's got to go with that.
Yeah, and you're not in the position now that you were a couple of days ago if you're Jim Rutherford. So can he find a depth guy? You know what? He was able to bring Trevor Daley here for Rob Scuderi. He was able to bring Jamie Alexiak here for like a bag of hockey pucks from Dallas. So he's certainly capable of it. And it probably would make some sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they need to improve the depth at the blue line. I mean, again, you don't want to get into a Game 7 situation where you have to put Hunwick on the ice.
Well, you also can't assume that all the current guys are going to stay healthy.
Well, that's the other thing, yeah.
I mean, look, if Letang or Justin Schultz goes down at any point, you're in some trouble. It's not dire as last summer showed. Okay, Justin Schultz was able to step up more than adequately as a quote-unquote number 1 defenseman. But what you don't have now, to your point about depth, is that even distribution that they had of ice time with their pairings, because now you're going to look at a Hunwick or a Chad Ruhwedel and say, third pairing, maybe they're going to log 8 minutes.
Got to try to steal some minutes with them.
Yeah, and that's the part that I think is a little bit of a concern here. So either Jim Rutherford is going to bring somebody in, or, and I do think this is a possibility, bring up someone from Wilkes-Barre who would have a month and a half of time in the National Hockey League before the playoffs start to at least show you that they can't do it. You know what I mean?
But you better be pretty sure that they can't.
But you better be sure.
Because if they can't,
pretty sure,
if they can't, you're back to where you were before.
Yeah, so I do think that Rutherford is going to take a look. I think he's going to do his diligence on it. But it's going to have to be someone in the heist mold, in the Alexiak mold.
Well, there's always teams out there looking to basically dump at this point and try maybe get some cap space freed up for next year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can find one of those type of situations, have the Rangers been picked clean at this point?
They're getting there. Probably not to their satisfaction, yeah. But they're not the only ones that are looking to move. To move bodies. Most of the bodies are at the wings around the league right now, so it's not a ton of defensemen. But you know what? If Rutherford can pull it off, man, that would be yet another in a long, long, long row of feathers in that man's cap.
Yeah, and so we'll see if he can get that done before 3 o'clock today. If not, look for them to bring up some guys, either one or two guys from Wilkes-Barre, and see if they can get it done in that fashion. That was a great question by you, Church of Greg, I believe it was.
Church of Greg.
Church of Greg. So
one of these days, he's going to go big time on us and become the Church of Greg.
Yes.
As opposed to just, a Church of Greg.
The Church of Greg, LLC.
Church of Greg, SC.
There you go. So we appreciate the question, and we'll be back in just a moment on DK Sports Radio.
In Pittsburgh, we bleed black and gold and love our city. Born in Pittsburgh and now celebrating 130 years in business, Henny Jewelers is proud to be your premier jewelry store. Whether it's choosing that watch you've always wanted, or you're searching for the ring that was made for her, trust Henny Jewelers. Visit our store on Walnut Street in Shadyside to see our extensive inventory of designer engagement rings, watches, and one-of-a-kind jewelry. For more, go to hennyjewelers.com and follow on social.
Embarrassed by that stained carpet in your office? Tired of looking at your dull, dirty floor? My Floor Needs is here to fix that. With years of experience and 24/7 service, My Floor Needs offers stripping and waxing, carpet, tile, grout, and concrete cleaning, as well as polishing and buffing services. Call 888-67-MY-FLOOR or email info@myfloorneeds.com for a free estimate and get your floors looking like new again. Whatever your floor needs, call 888-67-MY-FLOOR.
Does your company ever miss its sales goals or struggle getting new business?
Is it tough to hire or to give reps the right tools?
Hi, I'm Dan, and I started Engaged Prospect right here in Pittsburgh to help companies like yours.
And I'm Sam. We're helping companies hit sales goals and grow their businesses.
Think of us as your inside sales team.
Our clients are experts in their fields. We're experts in inside sales.
Give us a call today at 412-715-5151.
Or visit us online at engagedprospect.com/DK.
It's been 50 years since the Summer of Love, but if you're not performing as well as you'd like, check out NEDforless.com. I'm Eric Cushy of Curtis Pharmacy. Don't pay premium prices for the little blue pill. So Denafil, the same active ingredient as in Viagra, costs 80% less. NEDforless.com. All we need is your physician's name. We do the rest. Free shipping, too. NDDforless.com. Curtis Pharmacy, Western PA's Better Way Pharmacy. CurtisPharmacy.com.
And we're back on the Miller Lite Q&A podcast. I'm Dale Lolley here with Dejan Kovacevic, and we've got one last question to handle here this week, Dejan. This one comes from Radio Wave.
Old friend Radio Wave.
Yes.
Been around forever.
Now, is he the Mexican Radio Wave?
No, you're thinking of the Wall of Voodoo Mexican radio.
That's
Very
exactly
different.
what I'm thinking of. But we have, he asks, all sports events are available on TV, radio, and the Internet. When writing about the game, does a sports writer assume that the reader knows what happened?
I think that's a good question for the editor-in-chief.
We never assume that the reader knows what happened. I think that's why we're at the event, to kind of give you a picture of what happened at the event. Now, maybe you know what the final score was when you jump on to read about something or to get some analysis of it. I think our job is largely to let you know why some of those things happened and what the team is saying about those. So that's kind of how I approach things when I cover it. And you also have to kind of create the picture of what happened as well as you're doing that. But there's I think by and large, I know particularly when I'm writing about the Steelers, I assume if I'm covering a game that 90% of the readers watch the game.
Especially football, yeah, because you're talking about just 16 games a year.
A once-a-week event.
if Ben Roethlisberger throws an 80-yard bomb to Antonio Brown, everyone saw it. And to some extent, especially, again, with football, you're going to get some analysis of it. What you might not get from that broadcast, even from the commentators, is some of the specifics as to why, things that only can be gotten from the locker room, where you're asking the receiver, what kind of route were you running there? Did you audible that? You can talk to the other team's defensive back. Did you miss him? Who had that assignment? When Evgeny Malkin scores on a redirect like he did the other night in Florida off the pass from Brian Rust, it's up to us to go into the locker room and ask, both Malkin and Rust, hey, is that something you work on in practice? There's insight to be had. Andrew McCutchen, oh geez, there I went. I gave a Pirates example and I cite Kutch. Okay, Josh Harrison hits a 3-run homer. Everyone saw the 3-run bomb, but did you know that he had spent the game preparing for exactly that pitch sequence?
Right. Or maybe the pitcher tipped the pitch.
Yeah. Those are we feel as reporters when we go into the locker room like we have to get you more. We have to get you the why. But we've still offered the what. That's kind of the story structure that we've had. There's still, Chris Bradford's coverage over the weekend from Raleigh and from Sunrise, Florida, involved one story that was basically a what with some quotes, and then after that he offered his 5 thoughts that got into some opinion and analysis.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to bring you here, a little bit of both. We're trying to give you the best of both worlds. I hope that we're doing that for you, but that's a great question, Radio Wave. We appreciate all the questions that we got on today's show, some really good ones. For Dejan Kovacevic, I'm Dale Lolley, and we thank you for listening to the Miller Lite Q&A podcast.